Good morning and welcome. Happy Saturday. This is your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to give you some things to think about and maybe talk to others about and get us all thinking a little bit more. So today we have a really cool card from the Wild Harmonic deck, and I even had to make myself a note to make sure that I cover all the things that I wanted to make sure to cover today. But let's start with just a little breathing and tapping, just to kind of center ourselves, bring ourselves into the present moment. Good morning, Catherine. Welcome, welcome. Glad you are here. We're just going to do a little grounding and centering. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Grounding through your feet with each exhale, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and through your root chakra, the base of your spine. Every exhale sending your roots deep into Mother Earth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Wiggle it a little bit, feeling the creaks and groans this morning. In through the nose, out through the mouth, just centering and grounding. And my little counter says I have 0 people here, and I know you're here, Catherine, so it's not a 0. Counter kind of has issues. So I'm hearing a bazillion birds out there this morning. It's going to be a happy day for the birds and hopefully for the humans. So first thing I wanted to do is remind everybody that tomorrow is our, good morning Beth, welcome, welcome, our online coffee group. So if you'd like to join us for virtual coffee, those of you who have participated in the past should have already received a calendar invite. And if you're new to our virtual coffees, just send me a private message here in the system or an email to bonnie@empowermentandpurpose.com, just saying that you'd like to participate in tomorrow's coffee group. We meet from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Time. So shortly after I do the early morning intuitive guidance for tomorrow is when we will meet. And we just get together for an hour. Everybody brings their own beverage. We chat about whatever moves us at the moment. And it's just a nice opportunity to go a little deeper. And interestingly, that's what today's card is about, is going deeper into self. So we'll see what you think of all that. But gonna give it a minute here, see if a few more people pop on, because I'd like to have you do something first. If you have paper and pencil handy, that would probably be useful. Some of you probably have a much better memory than I do and can hang on to 5 things in your head. Yeah, not so much anymore. I'm not sure, not so much ever. Yeah, I'm a writer down girl. So a couple more nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, letting your shoulders drop. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Catherine, you just popped up twice, so you get double the message today. So what I'd like you to do with your paper and pencil is I'd like you to write down, when you think about yourself, or if you were going to describe yourself to somebody. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. Glad you are here. Good morning, Mel. There. Now we're starting to roll in here. This is good. This is good. What I'd like you to do is, if you have a paper and pencil handy, fine. If you have a good memory, even better. But write down 5 things about you. If you were going to describe yourself to somebody, what are the 5 things that you would pick out to describe about yourself? Okay, so it could be what you do, who you are, characteristics of you, 5 things. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Do, 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 do. But just 5 things about you that are the things that you typically say when someone says, well, tell me about yourself. What do you say? Those are the things, 5 of them. And for those of you who just joined, again, I want to remind you about tomorrow's coffee date. And most of you, I think, already get the automatic invite. But if you haven't done it before and you'd like to join us for coffee tomorrow morning virtually on Zoom, just send me a message, email, or messenger that you'd like to participate. Again, the email is bonnie@empowermentandpurpose.com. Good morning, Abigail. We are making a list of the 5 things that we usually use as descriptors for ourselves. So if you were going to describe yourself to somebody, what are the 5 things you typically pick out to say? It can be roles you have, your job. Good morning, Mechtild. Haven't seen you in a while. Good morning, good morning. We're just doing a little activity where everybody's writing down 5 things that they typically use to describe themselves. Okay? So now I'll show you our card. When I first saw the image, I thought, well, that's interesting. I'm not sure if that's the full moon with light around it or what that is, but this is the dimensional of dimensional cards, Deeper Self. Oh, I should show you the cover of the box. It is the Wild Harmonic deck by Gabriel J. Maryhew, and I love that image on the cover. The Wild Harmonic deck, Deeper Self. Deeper Self. So let me read the card first. Deeper Self, dimensional of dimensional. As the dimensional expanse meets itself, that which is beyond, beyond, beyond is as apparent as it is infinitely unknowable. So we've got a paradox there. It's apparent yet infinitely unknowable. The meditation part, moving on, going farther, expanding capacity, and opening to perpetual change. A card that reminds me there is nowhere to land, no one to be, and nothing to become. Nothing is ever final. Nothing is ever final. There is always more. There is always beyond. To reach this place is to see the next. This is not a push to leave, but a recognition that there is no permanent staying. Everything's changed, right? When that old saw about you can't stand in the same river twice, because the water's always moving, right? So your inquiry question, which is what we're going to use with these 5 things you picked out. What are my ideas of self, or how are my ideas of self keeping me from a more expanded experience? How are my ideas of self keeping me from a more expanded experience? So take one of those descriptors that you had for yourself. Well, I am a wife, a mother, a woman, an elder, an accountant, tax preparer, whatever. Take that title, that role, whatever it is, and I want you to see what are the limitations that I ascribe to that particular role. Well, I'm a woman, so that means I can do this and I can't do that. Or I'm older, so that means I can do this and I can't do that. Or any of those titles. So one of the ones that popped into my head when I was considering the 5 things for myself was, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. What are the limitations in that? I mean, when I think of myself as a spiritual being, I think more expansively. But when I think about having a human experience, where do I put limitations on? One of the thoughts that pops into my head is that human experience typically comes through the 5 senses, right? Limitation. What if I expand beyond that? What if I bring in all the clairs, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, blah, blah, blah? That opens up another whole realm, right? What if there's more beyond that? And some of you might start feeling a little twitchy, like, no. When I label myself as X, and implied in that title X means not Y, then I know really who I am. Do you really? Do you really? Or is that, how many of us in college when we first took a philosophy class were just mind boggled and gobsmacked about, they're messing with your head, right? What about this wall? What if this wall isn't really here? Well, yeah, it's here, I can touch it. Well, what if it's not? Trying to wrap our brains, move our concrete thinking into more and more abstract, expansive kind of thinking. Because when you go from I can't to how can I, whole new vistas open up, right? If everybody stayed in I can't, how much stuff would never have changed? How much stuff would never have been invented? Again, I go back to Thomas Edison saying, I haven't failed, I've just discovered 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. So with this card, the mindset is to expand yourself, to deepen yourself, to allow more, to remove the barriers that we've created. So let me read it again. Deeper self, dimensional of dimensional. As the dimensional expanse meets itself, that which is beyond, beyond, beyond is as apparent as it is infinitely unknowable. Moving on, going farther, expanding capacity, and opening to perpetual change. A card that reminds me there is nowhere to land, no one to be, and nothing to become. Nothing is ever final. There is always more. There is always beyond. To reach this place is to see the next. So we arrive and then there's more. We arrive and then there's more. How are my ideas of self keeping me from a more expanded experience? So mess around with those 5 things you have on your list there. Because if you can see the self-imposed limitations inherent in those labels, it can help you move beyond that, help you get unstuck, as it were. So I had covered my whole bed this morning with all the books that I have sitting beside my bed because I was looking for a particular book because my thought was I wanted to revisit the concept today with all of you. Couldn't find the book. It's a little book. I believe it's Matthew Kelly. And of course, I can't pull the title. I want to say it has soul in it. It's 2 words. But the gist is, yes, you can never stand in the same river twice. Even if something feels very deja vu-y, the you that you are bringing to that event this next time is a different you than the one who experienced that event the first time, right? So it's inherently different. There may be a lot of similarities, but it's inherently different. So back to Matthew Kelly, and it's kind of this concept of expansion and allowing for more and seeing the potential for all that is, to the extent that our human brain will allow us to do that, right? So his concept was that I believe it was 17, that if you started with one person and that one person shared something with, I believe it was 3 others, might have been 5, 3 or 5, that it would take 17 iterations of that pattern to spread this concept across the world. 17, merely 17. And the gist was that he was looking to spread love, kindness, etc. And so we share love and kindness with one person, or 3 people. Let's do 3. So now there are 4 of us. Those 4 share to 3 more, and on and on and on. And that it doesn't take long until everybody has this. His critics said to him, yeah, but not everybody's going to do it. And he said, that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Because somewhere along the iterations, there is a tipping point. That 100th monkey idea. And when you have enough people on board doing whatever it is, sharing love and kindness, it tips. It tips. It becomes the predominant thing, right? So if right now we're all in fear and avoidance and doubt and othering and all the yucky stuff, as more and more of us ground ourselves in love and kindness and faith and trust and looking for the good and doing the good, etc., we'll get to that 100th monkey point. So for those of you unfamiliar with the 100th monkey, the story goes like this. There's researchers on an island experimenting, watching the monkeys, right? And they watch all the things the monkeys do. And they give the monkeys yams. They throw the yams into the sand. The monkeys eat the yams. The monkeys don't necessarily like the sand that gets on the yams. So one monkey goes down to the water and washes off her yam and eats it clean. She then teaches her daughter that. Her daughter learns by observation. Pretty soon that whole, what do they call them? Troops? I don't know. Gaggle of monkeys is washing off their yams. But here comes the 100th monkey perspective. When enough of them are doing it, the information about doing it transmits in non-physical ways. So it's not a monkey showing another monkey. They found that monkeys on a separate island that had no contact with the monkeys on this island began to wash their yams also. So think about that. Energetically, doesn't that make sense? Energetically, how do these messages get sent? We begin to show each other loving kindness. We ask people to pay it forward, more loving kindness. At some point, we reach a tipping point where loving kindness begins to spread without us physically demonstrating it. It's in the ether. It's in the vibration. As we're up-leveling, it's in the vibration. So anything that we do, I want you to think about that. Whatever you choose to do today, it ripples forth. It ripples forth. So if I smile at somebody, we had smile the other day, right? If I smile at somebody, even if they don't smile back, maybe they're going to smile at somebody else down the way. Maybe that person then goes home and smiles to their family of 4. Maybe those 4 then go out and smile at other people. Pretty soon the smile is infectious. That's the kind of infection we want going around, right? Loving kindness. Let's infect the world with loving kindness. So that's it for today. I want you thinking about that stuff. If you want to join me for coffee tomorrow, please send me a message and let me know. Bonnie@empowermentandpurpose.com. Think about those 5 things that you picked out about you. Where in there are you creating limitation? How can you make them more expansive? And then perpetuating loving kindness. I'd love a t-shirt that said that. I perpetuate loving kindness. That would be fabulous. Anywho, have an awesome Saturday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Loving kindness for everybody. Bye-bye.